Hello, Fabien, Flo. So many people coming. Very nice. And I propose we slowly start. It's already 6 here in France, in the Pyrenees. Maybe for other people, it's different timing. And actually, you can start if you hear me, that you can write in the chat your name and where you attend the webinar from, and maybe like what you notice in your body. If there's something you notice in your body, this is also part of the radical honesty practice. So you can share that in the chat to start. And there are more people coming. So thank you everyone for showing up to the last webinar of this year that will be facilitating with Honesty Europe. Very happy of like the webinars we had those this year, and also to finish on such a light topic of joy with Genny also that I invited. And so I'm tutor data. I will be facilitating, and Tuulia and Genny are going to be the main speakers on this topic. If you need anything like on a technical level, or there's something going wrong for you, whatever, you can write in the chat, and I'll be watching it during the webinar. I would say like this is a webinar, so there's going to be also some time where Tuulia and Genny will talk, and we'll have a bit of like a guided meditation, some time for sharing, some time for interaction, and after that, some time for where Tuulia and Genny will talk. And I invite you to like keep your questions for the part where there will be like questions and answer. And usually we don't have time for like so many questions. So I invite you, like if you really have a burning question, that you go first and keep it like straight to the point, as clear as possible. And I warmly invite you to open your camera. It's very nice also to get a feeling of each other's presence in the space. And the talk will be recorded. So usually the way we record it is that only the speakers appear in the recording. So you don't have to worry about what people see of you when you're just attending. But if you speak, maybe you want to make sure that your name or your camera is open or not, depending on what you like. And we'll try to publish it on the YouTube channel of Honesty Europe, which I'm also going to share later in the follow-up email. And what else to say? We'll try to end at 7. Usually we're rather sharp on time, and I think we'll try to keep it this way. And I'll give the floor soon to the speakers, Tuulia and Genny. And right now in the chat, I'm just sharing a bit about their names and their contacts, so that later you can have them if you're interested in reaching out to them. So why this webinar? As I said, this webinar is the last one of this year with Honesty Europe, and it's part of a bigger series. It's something that I'm facilitating as part of a work exchange, because I was a participant of Tuulia's training earlier this year. And I'm very happy actually that I get to facilitate this webinar. And every time like we talk about different topic that is important to us with the point of view of radical honesty and also of other methods. So you will hear maybe of some other methods from Genny today. And joy is a very dear topic for me, and actually not a topic that I think we talk about enough, as much as like we're talking about fear, anger, sadness, like over big emotions in part of the emotional work and personal development and stuff like that. And I think I was just so happy we chose this topic with Tuulia a couple of weeks ago. And then I thought, oh, I want to invite somebody who, as a second speaker, and I instantly contacted Genny, with whom I've been in touch. Like in 2022, I was part of Genny's training where she was introducing process work, and we've been working a lot with conflict, I remember. And I just had this warm feeling of Genny as a super joyful person that also did a lot of work in this field. So that's why I invited her. And so right now, just to start, I would like to invite you, Tuulia, to introduce yourself, and then Genny, if you say a bit about you.
Yeah, thanks for the opening to tour. So I'm Tuulia. I'm from Finland, and I'm a radical honesty trainer offering workshops and retreats since almost 10 years. all over the Europe, and nowadays more and more in Finland in the woods, because me and my partner Pete, who is also a trainer, we bought a retreat center there and actually really enjoy doing like intense emotional work, whatever it is, anger, sadness, also joy, a lot of it actually. And having that in an environment where there's also possibility to like decompress, rest, connect to yourself and nature, hug the trees, swimming the lake, dip the ice hole in the winter. So yeah, that's immediately what comes to mind when I think of joy, like these joyful moments of first like working with oneself and then having a place where you just don't need to be anything or do anything and just enjoying scenery or enjoying nature. So yeah, and I'm also a therapist, working mainly with couples and sometimes one-on-one with people. And at the moment, I'm actually not in Finland. I'm most of the time there in the woods at the moment with snow. However, currently I'm in Copenhagen. We are in the middle of leading 2 weekend workshops, which also actually gives me a lot of joy. Last weekend was so powerful and so rewarding. There was so much vulnerability and just being real. And that's like so big for me. I come from a family where anger wasn't really allowed, especially for us kids. And then also joy wasn't allowed. So we have this saying in Finnish that if you have happiness, hide your happiness. And I really kind of learned that don't make it a big deal. It's going to be taken away. And so I, for a long time, minimized my excitement, my joy, my happiness. And I really am in a big, what is it? Road to unravel that for me and for other people. Like, what the heck? Why couldn't we be as happy as possible and joyful as possible and access all that? Because there's definitely time to be sad and angry and depressed and ashamed and all that. So why not to embrace also the other part? So yeah, that's me. I'm 52 years old and I have an adult son. So yeah, that I also want to put there, which is also a big joy in my life, my kid.
Thank you, Tuulia. Genny, how about you?
Wow, well, I was listening to you, Tuulia, and I really went through lots of emotions of feeling this joy, feeling really like expansions, the many moments of joy that you mentioned, and you know that they go through other moments of sadness, anger, shame, and we have to be able to recognize the different emotions that we pass through. But we can, I mean, there are so many moments of joy in everyday life that we forget really to see them, to check them. But to introduce a little bit myself, so my name is Genny, I'm Italian, and at the age of 2, I lost my sight, so I was very small. I had a car accident, and in the car accident, my mother also passed away. And since then, what I remember of like at the age of 4, riding a bicycle through a vineyard. So plenty of trees and me going through up and down with a bicycle. And the feeling of joy, the feeling of freedom, the feeling of I can, this like nothing is impossible. And actually here in my house I have a pillow that says the impossible only comes a little later. So wait for it, work for it, it's gonna come. And since then, like I built my life in a way that I need to do things with others. I need to relate to others. I need to create harmony with others. Collaboration, being together, thinking together, taking into consideration your needs and my needs. But when you create like this symphony, this synchronicity with other people, when you let yourself be open, so many magics can happen. And so like the joy of everything I could do in my life, everything I could achieve, every difficulty I could overcome, every single thing, like I mean, as I mentioned driving a bicycle, but I have done so many things as a child, driven by this curiosity, by this sometimes also anger for a world that was saying you are different, you cannot. But I knew that if I stayed with it, I would have achieved that moment of feeling again, that explosion in my heart, that sensation of lightness, that energy running through my body. And I also learned that more I can connect to that, more I can bring it out, more I can disseminate, more people around me feel it, enter into it, and the vibration that we create together are higher and more things can happen. And so I really built my life on this, but not from, sometimes you wonder, like, am I just pretending? People say fake it until you make it, or positive thinking, and it's not that kind of thing, because you have to feel it. You have to really notice it into your body, notice it through your vein, notice it through your skin. And with this is really what made me the person I am. It's really what allowed me to do the many things I did. I went through a normal schooling. I didn't go to a special schooling. I went to a normal university. I studied international diplomacy because I wanted to be an ambassador and change the world from inside and bring peace. And they told me, you're blind, you cannot. And I thought, okay, well then I created an organization, a street children NGO in the Philippines, to bring happiness, to bring peace, to bring harmony there. And I was alone. And I could only do it because of the joy I could transmit to people in feeling the possibility of doing something, in transmitting what I was perceiving every time I was going to the Philippines, in the innocence of describing what a blind person can live, experience, and bring to you. And so that was really like what in the times helped me to discover always more. And then I decided to learn facilitation, so how to guide groups, how to support people to really take decisions, overcome conflicts together, to create projects together, to create the togetherness, the collaboration. And I went through like creating the process work school, which is a sort of psychotherapy school that has a touch that looks into one-to-one. So I'm a therapist as well, but also on the systemic part of a group and a society. So the different parts, the different polarities, the system, belief systems that are behind. And all of this, again, because for me is every time we overcome a trauma, every time we pass through also a difficult process, you again connect to that essence, to that deeper joy, to that thing that moves you inside. And that's what moves you along again, this moving energy. And so then I decided to live in an eco-village. So it's a intentional community where we take care of the environment. So we have our own food production, food sovereignty. We try to be energetically sustainable. We are restoring a building that should be thrown down and produce a lot of trash. And instead, as a project, we decided that we want to protect the earth, so avoid that trash and restore this building, so not take over other resources in order to build something. And again, also this connection to something bigger, to doing together, because I live in a community. So for me, again, more I connect to joy, more I connect to this ability of doing bigger things, and more I connect to other people, and more I feel like my charisma also grows, my ability of really leading a group, a facilitation, or whatever I do in my life. So this is why for me, joy is really one of the keys of my life. And believe me, I went through all the other emotions. As I mentioned, my life hasn't been growing on the cotton, but really like being able to appreciate every day, to feel every day what I connect to, what I can, what I achieve, sleeping in my bed and having my own house with the things in order that I can find them. And every time it's like, wow, yes, I have it. It's possible. I can do it. It's easy. It's comfortable. So this kind of energy for me is what every morning I think if I get up with a smile in my face, I can face anything that happens. But I need to really take care of feeling that feeling more and more. And this is why,
Why
today,
don't we take the opportunity to actually
exactly, experience it.
feel some things together?
Exactly. That's where I was gonna go actually. So the intention of this moment is to bring us together to feel it. So I invite you now to really go a little bit dreamy, like maybe close your eyes if you want, or just like you don't need to sit in front of the computer still. Just like relax a little bit and think about a moment in your life. Whether when you were a kid, now as an adult, something that you know that created you the feeling of joy. Whatever it could be, a hug with a friend, it could be a run, it could be a walk in the mountains and see the opening, anything. Just try to think about a moment in which you felt this joy. And if you have a memory of it, try to think about or feel actually, don't think anymore. Just remember, bring back the experience. Where were you? How was your body in that moment? What were you perceiving? Did you notice heaviness or lightness in your body? Did you notice some energy moving? If yes, how? Sometimes people talk about the butterflies in the stomach or expansion in the heart or warmth, probably the face changing shape into a big smile, or maybe just a subtle one. Just keep on noticing it in your body and try to feel if you can really bring it in. And if you can maybe even get up if you were standing in that moment and take it in fully in your body, really expand it, notice it again, let it pervade you. And if you were sitting, just stay seated, but really go into this energy. Really let your body be soaked into it. And notice if you can, if there is a movement, an energy, like something that you can take away with you to remember this joy. Maybe it's an open position, your hands are expanding. Maybe it's a movement of your hands. Maybe they are the feet kind of shaking and ready to run, ready to move. Maybe it's just like this warmth that comes out of your body and expands around. Notice and try to remember something, one way to come back to this feeling tomorrow. And if it's more difficult for you to do it through your body, maybe take a piece of paper, do a sketch, like it doesn't have to be a drawing, just a sketch of how this energy moves in your body. If you want to use some colors to represent it, to keep it alive, to be able to go back to it anytime, whenever you want. And the invitation is for you to do this exercise, to bring back this energy, this memory, this feeling in your body for at least 21 days now, to really reteach your body that this joy is something that you know, it's accessible, and it can find it in many, many different things. So to be alert. And maybe we give you 1 more minute just to stay with yourself, to really go deeper into this feeling, while Tutor will prepare some breakout rooms where we will invite you to share with other two people so that you can at least share a little bit this experience, mind the time, be joyful, bring this energy and show whatever you achieved, you found this energy, and yeah, because we won't have the possibility to listen or to see all your energy, all your postures, but we really would like you to share it because it stays in a little bit more, and also make this compromise that you're going to repeat it for 21 days, 1 minute per day of joy, that you connect to it consciously. And I leave you for a little bit in silence still, and then Tutor will move you gently to the breakout rooms.
So I'm going to open the breakout rooms now, Jenny. And yeah, you will be in groups of 3, and the breakout rooms will last 5 minutes. So you can share with your group during this time.
And enjoy.
Yeah, I see people are coming back. Amazing. Jenny,
Welcome
I think
back.
this is your
Thank you.
time.
Yeah, so we just wanted to have maybe 2 or 3 voices, depending on how fast you can be in kind of sharing. But if there is anything that you would like to bring back, sorry, to the main group, something you found useful, if you get this energy, just something short, if any one of you would like to share, just open your mic and Tutor will be the eyes to see if you raise your hand. Ooh, no one wants to share. But at least with your thumbs, did you find some joy? Was
I'll
it joy?
share.
Sorry?
I
Go
want
on,
to share.
Nicole.
Okay, super.
Yeah, what I noticed was in both my and Nina's sharing, there was this element of like we did this thing with our bodies that made this extraordinary experience possible on this incredible earth.
Uh-huh.
It was like 2 totally different memories, but they both had that in them. Oh, I get goosebumps down my legs.
Super. Bring it back because it's something, sometimes they are special things, but sometimes this same feeling, we can have it in very small daily life. And to train it, it really helps to kind of notice it more when it happens. So brilliant.
Oh,
Yay.
yes.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to share something?
I noticed joy come up in me with nature and beauty, and I often find beauty in the paradox of life.
Aha. So you have plenty of joy there.
Yeah.
It's, the important thing is that you notice it and feel it in your body, and be aware that you can perceive it and feel it. So brilliant. Super.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm feeling so joyful myself right now. I feel like warmth and I want to smile. Like I'm so happy we're having this experience and about your sharing all of this. Yeah, it feels really
Thank you
warm inside.
for trying it out. Thank you for being available. It's like this is for me like yay. I was actually asking Tutor and Julia, I was like, did you notice if people enjoy it? And they told me that it seemed you enjoyed it, and the feedback seemed to be positive as well. So that gives me joy again.
Yeah.
Maybe Julia, would you like to tell us what joy is actually?
Yeah, and thanks, Jenny. I really enjoyed myself that meditation and like this expansion in my body. And then when I opened my eyes for a split of a moment, I saw that some other people were either on the floor or also having something going on with their body, being big or arms up. Okay, so what is joy? And I'm seeing that Eva has hand up. Do we first take Eva in case there's something that feels important for you to share, Eva?
Yes, we just wanted to share this bundles of joy. Here we have 2 babies.
Oh, the babies.
Yes, exactly.
Babies.
Hello, babies.
That's perfect. Thanks for sharing that. And that's actually really relevant to this topic. Like, I think the joy, happiness is something that we have a lot in us as babies, as little kids. It's like we're like bundle of joy and want, and then for a moment we're a bundle of sadness or bundle of anger, like, I didn't like that. But it's like it just comes out of us. And then somehow when we become a bit bigger, the adults, the parents, the teachers kind of tell us to tone it down a bit. Let it be about like big expressions, anger, wants. Also, like the joy can be overflowing when there's a lot of noise and movement. And I think it's a lot about just finding what is truly in us from the beginning, like really beginning. And what we mean by joy, I mean, of course, we all have our own definition, but what I would say are some of the things is indeed something happening in the body that is pleasant. So it could be, like Genny was mentioning, it could be expansion or warmness maybe, or some kind of movement, just like feeling good in the being, in the here and now. And when I think about joy, it's not about like everything is great and hunky-dory, not at all. But there's this moment, at least in my life, I have this like split moment where like, right now, everything is good. And it's just like today I was walking and then there was sunshine all of a sudden. And it's been quite like dark days, dark in terms of the weather. And then this sunshine and I could see it and I could feel it. And then in that moment, it was just joy and like nothing else. There was no schedules, no demands, no nothing, because I was just noticing that and concentrating on the joy of feeling the sunshine on my face, seeing the sun, and just like greeting the sun, like, hey, welcome back. It's been a bit of a dark autumn. So I'm talking about the physical sensations and then these thoughts that come with the sensations, or even thoughtless, like all of a sudden the head is a bit empty. It might be just like, oh, I'm enjoying this, or oh, I'm feeling the warmth. Like I'm feeling this, I have the sensation and then I have the thought. So yeah.
Tuulia, I was curious to hear you more about, like, you know, we are doing this webinar on joy, and I think it was very nice we've like experienced this, and like what you described, like there's so many ways that it can be felt. And I want to share with everyone in the chat like a quote that I found when I was preparing this webinar, which is actually from the author of Radical Honesty, Brad Blanton. And Brad, like the quote is a bit long, so maybe we won't like read it all, but basically Brad says like the joy is really one of these emotions that is buried really deep inside us. And that he even says like it's the most repressed emotions as adults. And it's a way of protecting us from being hurt. And like there's like a lot of fear around like receiving love and giving and stuff like that. So I would like to ask you, like, what's maybe like more the I know if it's right to call it the shadow side of joy, or like what are the reasons it's so repressed, or what are the blockages we have around that? If you could maybe share a bit your perspective around this.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's super relevant. So the one thing that I already mentioned, when the big people start to tell us that we should be different as kids, and somehow this life joy, this life force is kind of pushed down. We learn to push it down because we're not okay as we are. So we learn this message very early on that we should be a bit different. And then especially like joy, meaning like, oh, you're too much. And then of course, another thing when we come to adulthood and stuff happens, shit happens to us. And then we repress that too. Like we get angry and we don't share it. So then it starts to either we push it down and it's in our body, in our system somehow, somewhere, or we start to kind of let it out, often quite unconsciously, like with passive aggressive little nasty jokes, remarks, puffing, rolling eyes, or we could be like aggressive, like slamming doors. So not fully expressing our core emotions. And I think anger is really core, and anger is there for a reason. It's actually healthy and it's good, and it's friend of love. Like, oh, I dare to directly show this and not to kind of play some games where I'm angry and I'm not telling you. So not showing these like big emotions, and anger tends to cloud everything else. So I might really care about someone and then I'm pissed off and I'm not accessing my joy and appreciation towards that person because the anger is there and I didn't take time to deal with it. I chose not to, I didn't have the guts or whatever reason. So anger, also shame, like, oh, I fucked up, I made a mistake, body is like contracting. And then rather than showing it like, oh, I'm feeling embarrassed, I think I said the wrong thing, I'm noticing heat in my face, I try to kind of maneuver and play around like nothing is happening. And then again, shame is quite big, so it's difficult to access anything else rather than, oh, that was a silly thing to say, I'm feeling embarrassed, I think I fucked up, or I made a mistake, sorry. Or just owning it, just noticing it. And a bit same with sadness. Like we do all get sad, and that's normal emotion. And all these things, if we kind of repress them and don't allow them to be there and don't allow the natural expression, then they tend to stick and be stuck with us. And whatever we allow to be there in the body and in the expression, verbal and non-verbal, then it can just flow. So emotions actually come and go. And there's even studies that it's about 90 seconds, a span of one emotion from the peak, and then it already starts to change. And then that change means that there's space for joy, happiness, liveliness, all of this. But this kind of phase where we are like feeling uncomfortable and constricted, it is kind of a scary place. So then our system kind of tells us that, okay, we just stay here, and when we protect ourselves and we don't show this, and then we stay in that kind of constricted place and keep dumping down whatever is the emotion that is uncomfortable in our mind and in our body, and then there's just no space for joy and other stuff, other good stuff in life.
Yeah, I liked when you mentioned like this sense of flow, and that there's a lot of space for diverse emotion and expressing them, and then like this idea that we are protecting ourselves, and what you said also at the beginning, like it's about things we're told and things like some beliefs maybe we have about like whether it's okay or not to express those emotions. And I want to maybe ask you too, Tuulia and Genny, to like end a bit like this discussion part by basically like sharing a bit like we saw at the beginning, Genny, what you offer is like a way of like getting back in touch with this memory, with like embodying joy. I don't know if like there's a sense of like we all have joy, we can access it anytime, where it lies, whatever. I found it kind of magical, and I found that it works in the end. Just I could feel something different. And you said that there was first like the idea of keeping that for 21 days, which I really like. So maybe doing the same. And I would like to invite both of you to share a bit more with us. What are the other ways that we can all train accessing and expressing more joy in our lives?
But maybe I can, I was thinking, also listening to Tuulia and a little bit from my experience. Often we are trained to notice the things that do not go well, things that we need to fix, things that are not, and that things that make, as Tuulia was mentioning, I made a mistake, so that's something wrong. Or, something that needs to be corrected, something that's not functioning. So we start entering in this survival mode all the time of, which is a good energy, because the survival energy is the energy that makes us move along, is the energy that makes us also kind of grow, transform, change things. But really connecting to the high emotion of joy, feeling the vibration in the heart is tested scientifically. That really helps us to even heal parts of our body, because basically the cells inside of us are receiving this information about things are well, I am healthy, I am in a good place, I am safe. And so the cells builds up in that sense. So another thing, for me, through process work, what I learned is really embodying the energies. And there is no bad energy. Once we understand the energy, some of you said, this amazing experience. What is the essence of it? Feel it, bring it in, take it in every day, because that's kind of an information for your body saying, it's possible, it's healthy. And when you send out this information around you, people notice it, feel it. And things around you are going to have a different movement, a different impact. These vibrations are contaminating the rest of the environment around you. And another thing that would invite you, if you can, even to have a small piece of paper, a small diary, something on you, or even your phone, and open a note and just write every day. Whenever you notice something beautiful, something that gives you a little bit of joy, write it down. Whether it's a smile of a friend, whether it's the warmth of your bed, whether it's the smell of the coffee, whether it's the kiss of your partner, whether it's whatever, write it down. Because again, if you look back to it, you are going to see there are so many beautiful moments. But what we often do is to focus on what we need to improve. And we forget to really put energy when something works. Put more energy, don't put less, put more, make it bigger, make it even more. This is my kind of advice, to really kind of stay connected and trust that this kind of energy can heal if it's really felt from the heart, not faked, as I mentioned earlier.
That's really amazing, Jenny. And I would like to give the other side of this coin is like, how are you able to do that? And there I would go back to being comfortable with the discomfort of the unpleasant emotions, so that you are able to deal with them and let them go and kind of release them and express. So when you do get comfortable enough of daring to show your sadness, your anger, your shame, then the 90-second rule. Okay, it's really uncomfortable now, it will go away. And then I have space to stick with the other stuff, stick with the joy and expand that and make it bigger. But not by pushing down, but really allowing things to be there. It's like, oh, I'm angry. Okay. I'm not liking these feelings in my jaw and the tightness in my stomach. And okay, it's there for a reason. Anger is my friend. I would rather not be angry. I am. I'm expressing it. I let it go. My body is relaxing. Okay, that's already joyful. Body relaxing. Cool. I'm still with this person I was angry at. They didn't run away. I didn't run away. Oh, I actually feel connected to them. We're staying in eye contact. And now I get goosebumps because it is so beautiful, allowing this emotional wave of oof, and then accessing all this other stuff. So that's one. So just really training yourself, being okay with the discomfort. Nobody's gonna die. You're not gonna die out of your anger or sadness or shame, and the other people either. And I'm not talking about rage, but like normal level. And then one other thing I would say is that these tools of taking care and loving your body and your nervous system. So whatever you need to kind of calm down and regulate your nervous system, is it to feel the feet on the ground? Is it indeed smelling the dirt or the grass? For me, it's being in the forest, and there's a lot of recent scientific evidence how actually, especially pine trees, but many other trees, they are letting out these particles that are very healthy for our nervous system. So we co-regulate not only with humans, but also with nature.
Awesome.
And just seeing nature, even if you don't have tree next to you, just even seeing nature, it already does calm down our nervous system.
Thank you. It's really inspiring, and I'm really also like connected to like just being in the forest right now in the mountains south of France. I really see how this is calming. And right now I want to leave some space for questions, reactions from everyone. So the way to do it is very simple. You just unmute yourself and go for it. And I would love that you stay like straight to the point and a bit short so that we have time for a couple of them, because afterwards we'll go to a closing together. So that now is your time. Oh, I thought, oh,
Yeah.
Zero, go on.
Yeah, hello. I just want to bring appreciation to process work, and it feels very nice to be connected with process work again. Yeah, and right now I'm in a moment of trying to reconnect to where I am in this process of this hour ending, and what did I just experience, and where am I? And I just wanted to show up.
I guess you're someone who knows process work then.
Maybe someone else want to express something, ask questions. We do have a bit of time for this.
Just even a reaction. I mean, I guess I was thinking. Wow,
I think I have a question.
go.
A lot of times, actually, this feeling of joy also brings this spaciousness inside. So, is there a possibility to actually use joy to also allow these other emotions to be seen and be there and overpass them? Yeah.
Impatience, you said. Yeah, sometimes joy has this, at least for me, this
Not,
urgency.
not impatience, but like spaciousness. It allows, it like opens more space to feel comfortable to be open also for other things. That's joy it brings for me at least. And can this tool somehow be used to actually support other emotions, be present and really see them?
For me, yes. I mean, it's a little bit what Tuulia was saying earlier, you know, the fact of recognizing when you connect to these moments of anger, but also of what I would call kind of temporary resolutions, moments that come, they're deep for a moment, this eye connection, the kind of, you know, or if you are in a moment of loud joy, it's also sometimes a way to express or go over shame or go over sadness. But it depends if it's going over in the sense of missing it, or if it's, as Tuulia was mentioning, the satisfaction, the depth of overcoming them, the recognizing them. So that the awareness for me is always in the intention that there is behind. Is it to hide it? Is it to express it in disguise? Or is it actually the fulfillment of a process? So that's what I would say from my side. The attention, you know, to really make sure that it's joy, it's not pretending, or, you know, an attitude that sometimes we put on, like, if I'm always happy, then, you know, everything is good, and that doesn't really work.
Maybe like what I noticed was very alive in me is like, we do have these multiple emotions same time and multiple things happen. So allowing that both, like I might be really sad. Like I remember when my father passed away. So there was a lot of sadness and grief. And then there were these beautiful moments when I just had this memory of like the food he enjoyed, or the time when I was in his summer cabin and he was heating sauna and we were talking. So they both just really went hand in hand. So also allowing this kind of contradicting emotions within us and not kind of needing to decide or pushing one away, but just embracing the whole thing. because also our system cannot tolerate it's just too much to be all the time sad or all the time angry. So there are these natural sparks within us because our body will take care of us.
Just as
Whether
well.
we are there like consciously with the head, it doesn't matter. So that's also a natural process when we don't force it. Like I'm happy, when I'm not really. But there's these little like physical sensations.
In the chat, there's Nicole also who shared like an invitation to some other type of practice, I believe, called possibility management. And there's a Telegram chat and also a way to contact Nicole. So I found it also interesting for those of you who would like to take a look at it. And maybe we'll end just with Mihaela and later go to a closing together.
I have a short question for Tuulia because we are in the car and we need to go for a session now. And my question is, what happens when you don't let joy express fully? So I'm thinking of the wave with the anger and so on. What happens when you suppress emotions? And I'm wondering also with joy if it's the same effect. And this comes from a recent experience that I had. I was at this event and together with my team, we received a very important prize. And I was really, really happy. Like I felt tears of joy. And I really felt like hugging everyone. But because it was a very gala style dinner and there were other prizes to be awarded, it wasn't really, we didn't really have the time or space right then in that moment to do all of this. So it was more like just a quick congratulations and then sitting down. So I felt like, I kind of suppressed a little bit of that joy, which of course came back later, but I didn't go back to that moment, and I'm wondering what happens on the long term if you suppress moments of joy.
I think momentarily it's okay, but if that comes a pattern that I all the time like somehow don't allow it and either say that it's not the right moment or somehow my system is just getting a bit overwhelmed because I'm not used to it, for example, and I was not brought up in that way where joy was really celebrated and allowed. So then it could be that we don't access it quite much anymore. But these like little moments, I would say that if you have an awareness, like in this case, it sounds like you did, it's like, okay, I would love to express it in a different way and show it to everyone. And it's just not possible right now. It's not appropriate, but you feel it in your body and you have your thoughts going on and you notice whatever you notice with your senses. Then I would say there is still that experience of joy. It just doesn't manifest in the outright way, but it's still within your system. And that for me sounds like an appropriate way to be. And then most likely when the event is over, hopefully you had a chance to like really, really go for it. And taking the chance, if like creating that moment, then okay, it's not now. Or somebody, your friend is really, really sad, then maybe right then you cannot be like, whoa, but then you depart and then you take your moment. That's what comes to me.
Super, thank you so much.
Nice.
You're welcome.
Well, I think we're close to the end of this webinar. And I want to thank you so much, Tuulia and Genny, for all of that you shared, and also like this experience that we had at the beginning, and then kind of discussing about it more. And I think we covered a lot of aspects of what is joy as an experience from the body, and then what's around that. So there's of course connection to a lot of other emotions and to just the way we're brought up. But I think this really practice of connecting back to it, expanding it, letting it arise in us is like something at least I take out from what you shared, and I found it really precious. And I think that there's so much to discover when we just practice just feeling what is alive in us. And thank you also everybody for joining. This is the last webinar of this year, and we haven't so much talked, but I think we're going to do that right after with Tuulia. There are probably going to be more webinars organized by Tuulia through Honesty Europe, and I'm going to probably facilitate them as well next year. And yeah, I will let you know about that probably in like follow-up emails. In the follow-up email that I'm going to send you also, I'm going to like put the quote also, because it was a bit long. So I think it's really interesting if you want to dive a bit more into that. And also there will be the replay of this webinar. So maybe you can share it around you or even watch it again if you're interested. And right now,
may I add to Tour that if you guys have wishes for topics, let us know. And one thing that has been requested that we're already planning is practicing radical honesty in romantic relationships. So kind of stay tuned.
Nice. So maybe just to give a little bit of context, like why also we are offering this webinar is just a teaser for like more intense, bigger aliveness building practices through radical honesty, which for me at least was like very transformative. I attended already 3 week-long trainings, including one with Tuulia, and I found just this practice within a group of learning like how to feel within myself what is alive, including joy and sharing appreciation and connecting on this level with our people is really amazing. And I would love also to mention like that, of course, what I did with you, Genny, like working with the conflict and process work. And I remember this moment where you offered us to this exercise of connecting back to dreams was very like precious to me. So I think like this is the reason why I wanted to connect you two together. And I also want to just ask you to share maybe for like 1 or 2 minutes each, basically how and if people can reach out to you, what do you offer outside of this webinar space, which maybe could be a way for people to discover more and actually do these practices. So I don't know if Tuulia, you want to start?
Yeah, so in the beginning, I mentioned that I lead radical honesty workshops and retreats, and I do that full time. So there is plenty coming up. And 2 things I would like to mention and recommend. One is end of January, we have Passion and Purpose Retreat. So that's really exploring like how do you want to use your life? What is your life purpose? What values do you want to live towards? What do you want to learn? What do you want to leave behind? That's end of January now, retreat center in Finland. And then the big like transformative, like hardcore experience is the 8-day intensive. And the next one is end of February in the amazing island of La Palma. So overlooking Atlantic Ocean in the mountainside, very secluded villa with pool and sauna. And there we work like quite intense days. And what is really special about it is everybody tells the story of their life, 45 minutes. So you really have the audience, you get a recording out of your life story, then we talk about it the next day. And then we also do naked work, which can sound quite edgy. And it's really about body shame, sexual shame, and empowerment. Like, hey, this is who I am, honest and open with my words, and this is the rest of me. And I find it so beautiful how people witness each other being in that very vulnerable place. So that's 8 days, 8 nights, and actually 9 calendar days. And yeah, we have a little discount for you as well. So that will be in the follow-up letter if you get excited to join us for that one. So that's my little advertisement piece, and I hand over to Genny.
Wow, I was like, ooh, very interesting. And warm place in end of February also.
Yeah.
So what about me? I actually don't have retreats planned. I normally work more for groups or organization enterprises that call me, either for training on leadership, collaborative leadership, participatory governance, conflict transformation, communication, more on sort of a creating, building a group and also working on strategy of the organization and how to make decisions together. And I also then work with people on one-to-one or in couples to accompany the process, the growing process of each person to go towards personal empowerment and towards finding a place, the own place on this earth, on this world. And I also lately decided to start giving trainings and facilitating groups on inclusion and diversity, considering that I carry one. But also I feel it's very important to get acquainted with gender issues, patriarchal structure, the inner racism that we all have, the ableism and functionality that we all impose on each other to really create a world that it's more safe and welcoming for everyone. So if you want to contact me for either personal sessions or for group, either training or facilitation, you can look for my profile on the webpage and maybe email me, and then we move on from there.
Amazing. And I shared also in the chat like contacts to Tuulia and to you, Genny, so people will be able to do that. And there was also a question from Eva. Is there going to be a webinar next year about communication skills regarding radical honesty? And I don't know what you think, Tuulia, and I think this is also like the webinars show some stuff. So we do have like some topics and put some exercise about like, yeah, communication skills. But I think like the invitation behind is also to join one of the workshops or retreats where it's a lot more practice behind that. And you also get coaching from Tuulia, which I find is amazing. So that's really where the work is done.
Yeah, we can do a preview and maybe in the chat or separately you can share with us what you exactly mean by communication skills, because that's such a broad thing. One thing that I am also thinking about is talking about healthy expression of anger, because I find that there is very little training on that and very little spaces where anger is welcome, like in its full expression. And I work a lot with anger for that reason, because there isn't just not enough spaces and we didn't learn. So that's something I feel very inspired to do, because that's like close to my heart. And my thinking is that when I fully express my anger and let it go, I'm actually spending so much less time being angry. And it's not very loud because I'm catching and sharing it early on. And I think that is very like important skill in human relationships, not to be holding on to anger and then raging when the cup is too full. I like seeing you laugh, Genny. This is so cool to do this webinar with you.
Thank you so much, Tuulia. Same here. It's lots of things that you mentioned resonate, and you know, so it's fun to hear it as well.
Nice.
Thank you, everyone, so much.
Like working with you too and having the chance to really hear you on this amazing topic. So thank you for all of that you shared, Genny and Tuulia. And thank you to all the people who came here. I was very glad to see your faces, hear your questions, and yeah, so many people also sharing. That felt really, really nice to me. And I wish to all of you great evening. I'll be in contact with you via email. And yeah, I love also to see some of the faces I know, and I'm sure this is going to like bring really nice connections in the future. That's what I wish for everyone. So have a good evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'll start
Thank you.
Ciao.